at The Rebel, we filed a Freedom of Information request with Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada about refugee tracking, and the response we got back is both shocking and chilling. Now, back in January, we filed a routine access to information request with Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada. We file these things all the time. We were initially just looking for clarification on policies and procedures. Here's what we asked. Provide any copies of documents showing any tracking or monitoring done for any possible or alleged involvement in criminal or terrorist activity of Syrian refugees who have been brought to Canada since December 1st, 2015, all the way through to January 28th, 2019. Apparently, our simple request was so bothersome and so radioactive to the government that they actually had the assistant director of the Complex and Sensitive Issues Unit from Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada reply to us. And the reply is honestly pretty scary, from a public safety point of view. Just look at this. Following a thorough search of our information holdings, I regret to inform you that no records were found that respond to your request. No records at all. Over 3+ years. Now, we discovered in our exclusive access to information investigation back in 2018 that the bureaucrats at IRCC are no longer screening refugees for criminality in the countries they are applying for refugee status from. The directive to do so was dropped to help the Trudeau Liberals achieve their campaign quota promise of 25,000 refugees into Canada before the end of 2015. Now, let me say that maybe in a better way, a more clear way. If a Syrian refugee has been living in Jordan or Lebanon for 5 or so years and then makes an application to come to Canada as a refugee, the Liberal government has dropped the requirement for that refugee to have a criminal background check done on them in Jordan or Lebanon. They could be a suspected serial killer in Lebanon. They could be the head of a criminal enterprise in Turkey or a pedophile in Jordan, but that doesn't matter to Canadian immigration officials. Thanks to Trudeau, they just aren't all that interested anymore. It no longer matters as much as meeting these arbitrary refugee numbers do. We, for the most part, have no idea who and what we are getting before they get here, and then, for the most part, we're just turning them loose when they arrive with little to no monitoring for criminality or terrorist sympathies. And what little checking the government does do these days, well, that's been contaminated by ISIS, which makes tracking the refugees after they get to Canada even more important. After Raqqa and Deir el-Zur fell to ISIS in 2015, the End Times terror cult took control of 2 passport offices, both replete with boxes of blank passports and passport printing machines. The American Department of Homeland Security suspects that ISIS followers may have infiltrated American borders with authentic-looking passports issued to them by ISIS. Do you see this picture here? This is a Syrian passport American Homeland Security says was issued by an ISIS-controlled passport office, and it was obtained by the individual in Istanbul, Turkey. According to ABC News, these fake Syrian passports have been discovered in Europe, most notably used to enter France by 2 Syrian bombers who took part in the November 2015 Paris massacre, where 128 people were killed in gunfire and explosions. And yet, at least according to Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada, we aren't bothering to keep tabs on the people coming into Canada from these areas as refugees. What could possibly go wrong? For the Rebel.media, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid. Did you know that you have a new way of getting your Rebel Media fix? All of our premium shows are available as downloadable podcasts. You can get them at the Rebel website at therebel.media/listen, or you can find us on any of your favorite podcast directories. And as a great way to help us out, please be sure to leave a 5-star review.